anytime something sort of happened, I was super negative. Like I was one of those guys that, we would lose on a Sunday arvo and I wouldn't get over it until I ran on the field next week. I'd carry it all week and I'd just have a shit week all week and just realise that I was the problem.
That's huge, mate.
Yeah.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Level Up. We are back in the shed this afternoon. It's actually a bloody hot day here in Brisbane, but another cracking episode coming up with a cracking guest. So I've known this guy for a little while. He's part of my Builders Breakfast group, and I tell you what, it is kicking some goals. He started off as a cabinet maker at the same time as getting in the early stages of a professional NRL career. He's played for some of the NRL's biggest teams, including the local one, but and most recently has taken out the Brisbane Master Builders Rising Star Award. So a massive warm welcome to Matt from Frameology. How are you?
Good, mate. How are you?
Excellent, mate. Thanks so much for coming over and having a chat. Actually been looking forward to this for a while. Like I think you're a quiet achiever.
Yeah, you could say that. Just head down and working hard.
Yeah. So, mate, give us a little bit before we get stuck into the building side of things. Like, you've done a lot in your you're only quite young.
34, yeah.
And so you born in Mount Isa, moved to Bundaberg.
Yep.
Grew up around that area, and jumped on a plane, moved to Sydney, and started a professional NRL career.
Yeah. So I actually started a school-based apprenticeship as a cabinet maker. It was my mother's sort of idea to have a backing because we knew sort of I wanted to chase an NRL career. So we started that while I was at school. My school was actually really good. They did like a 1 day to, I think it was 1.5 day of work experience mixed in with your school. So 1.5 to 2 days a week I'd work.
This is up in Bundaberg?
Up in Bundy, yeah.
So you're a run boy?
Yes and no. I know what to stay away from. Depends whether you're in for a fight or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I sort of started off that cabinetry apprenticeship, and then before I knew it, I sort of was scouted at a local rugby league competition, and I was on a plane to Sydney at 16 and a half, and
So how does that work? So did you go on your own? Did you have family with you?
So my uncle actually lives in Sydney, and my brother was there at the time. He had actually had a contract at the same team, funny enough, as well. So I moved there and moved in with my brother, who was living with my uncle before. But we moved in together. I was on the big wicket of $325 with a $220 rent a week, just hanging out for those footy payments. And sort of the dream was kicking off. I was sort of chasing that NRL contract, full-time contract. So.
And at the same time, you're still continuing you ended up doing your cabinetry apprenticeship down there as well. Yeah, so I the first sort of 3 months I got there, it was just train. I sort of just tried to get myself in the swing of an NRL club. I was there at Manly Sea Eagles. So on the side of that, I went and chased up my own work because I knew at some point I was going to need to earn some money, and the savings were dwindling. So just found a local cabinetry company, and sort of I would work 6:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the arvo, and then straight to training and train till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and do it every day. Yeah. So how long did you do that for? I did that the whole time I was in Sydney. Yeah. Good 4 or 5 years before I sort of landed a contract. Actually scored a contract up here while I was playing in Brisbane against the Broncos in the 20s competition, and straight here for reserve grade. For the Broncos? As a reserve grade. So they were a feeder team for the Broncos. Yeah. So it was Winner Manly Sea Eagles. Yeah. And I was coached under the late Paul Green. It was big change again, moving from, I'd never lived in Brisbane before. So yeah. Mate, that's a pretty exciting start for a young fella to be following your dreams, and then obviously have the initiative to keep doing an apprenticeship on the side. And and then so where did the transition come from the footy and the cabinet making to being a builder? So when I come to Brisbane, I actually moved from cabinet making to carpentry. So I sort of
short switch. It didn't really take long to extend that into carpentry, and it was just more of a, I guess, long-term plan to become a builder. So my stepfather in Bundaberg is actually a builder as well. So like I always in the back of my head, I could go back there and sort of jump in there and maybe eventually run things as well. But I was sort of still chasing the dream. Had a few sort of major injuries along the way. Like I've probably had about 11 surgeries to date. Knees, shoulders, face, everything. So
it's a hard profession, isn't it? Any type of professional sport, like it is full on.
Yeah. Look, I would still say building pushes the limits a lot more than, not physically, but mentally, or sort of all around it pushes it more than sport. But the fact that I was, playing a professional game on a Sunday afternoon at 4:00 and I had to work Monday morning was, no recovery. You sort of, you're really struggling for a fair bit there. But it definitely created a lot of determination, I would say.
Well, and commitment.
Yeah, commitment, resilience.
Yeah. And so you finished your carpentry apprenticeship?
Yep. Then I was actually recruited by Melbourne Storm, and their feeder club was at Sunshine Coast. So myself and my fiance moved to the Sunshine Coast, and then from there I went to Melbourne and actually, I was training with the Storm and played a couple of NRL trial games that year. And I was sort of 2 weeks away from Origin period, and we're hearing I was about to have my debut at a fairly late age, considering I think I was about 26. And 2 weeks before I was having some niggling groin issues, and I couldn't run. I literally walked out onto the training paddock, went to run, and my legs wouldn't move. They just wouldn't tick over, and I knew I sort of was in a bit of trouble there. Was that the end of your football career? So I got the surgery, made a comeback with the feeder team, Sunshine Coast, the Falcons, and I actually tore both adductors in my return game, which are still not attached. But
jeez, mate, that was footy. Just was trying to tell you something.
It was just cruel. Yeah. Some people, get through their career with not a single issue, and others just have to go the hard way.
Yeah.
But, I guess it probably instilled a few things that I could take on further, whereas people without those issues, they get something hard post-career and they have a cry about it and, the world's over sort of thing. So,
well, you definitely gave it your best shot by the sounds of
it. Yeah, I gave it a good hot crack, I reckon.
And so, you already had something to fall back on, which is a good thing, because a lot of professional sports people don't, do they? Like they just commit everything to the sport, and when something goes wrong, they've got to go back and start again. Yeah. So reserve grade in Queensland is actually a lot better pay. Like you could, through the season, you could actually earn a wage. Like I was sort of over $1,000 a week, so you could actually survive in that period without working, which a lot of people surprisingly did. They just put it all into, and there's there's a couple that made it and there's a fair few that didn't, So at some point reality had to hit. And then you ended up back down in Brisbane. So how long's Frameology been going for?
Frameology's been going since 2017. So I just started out. I got my builder's license. So I actually was contracting, and then I went to get supervision experience so I could get my builder's license. Got that, then got my builder's license, but I still just kept doing. I went back out on my own and did carpentry contracting. Yeah. So I did. Sort of your normal development homes, frames, fix outs, all that sort of thing. The fix outs I was really good at with my cabinetry background. So, I did that for money, I guess, quick turnover. And then I did a bit of work for a builder in Brisbane for doing renovations and things like that. That sort of kicked me off into the renovations, which is where I wanted to go anyway. Yeah. It was always a long-term plan. So everything was, I guess, planned to a degree.
But that, like having a crack at those different things, I think all younger people, when they're trying to get to become a builder, really need to have a go at lots of different types of building, because even though you might end up doing one particular type, you can never have enough skills.
For sure.
And that volume type work, although I'm not a big fan of it, I did a lot of it. Yeah. and it taught me how to be very efficient, because like if you don't get shit done quick, you just don't make money.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps you pick up your speed and your skills. But it's unusual for people to have a bit of a path and have a think about, they want to do a bit of this to get that experience, they want to do a bit of that to get that experience. Like a lot of people just want to go straight to the top.
Yeah.
And then struggle for years or rely on other people because they don't necessarily have all the skills that they need. So
you see that a lot these days, actually, with I guess the younger builders or carpentry business owners. Some of them are pulling more money than I am a week, and then they wonder why they have to put money back in and what's going on with the business and why they're in the red here and there. And you know, a lot of them are trying to, you know, get the big F-150 or 250 or whatever, and then they haven't actually earned the stripes and
everyone wants to go straight to the top.
Yeah, they don't realise, you know, the paths that some of us went through. Like you went through a lot of obstacles, and I definitely did. Like I moved into architectural building as COVID hit. So yeah, that
would have been scary.
Yeah, very. It was very scary. It actually, you know, it was one of those things where I was slowly working off the tools to start working on my business, and at the end of the day, you just had to put the belt back on, and you know, we sort of streamlined a little bit and just worked really hard.
Yeah,
that's probably the only reason we got through it. Like, there's a lot of people I knew that didn't and just got out of it because they were just sick of it.
But it's you just got to do what you got to do. Like you just said, like if you got to throw the nail back on, you throw the nail bag back on. Like, I'm very same or similar to that. Like, whatever situation comes up, like there's no hierarchy. Like you have to do whatever it takes just to keep things flowing. And through COVID, we did very similar things, but if you don't, that's when you're going to get into trouble, get left behind, or like all those types of things. But I do, like, it does frustrate me when I see all these younger guys driving around in the new dual cabs and the new trailers, and like it's great. Like everyone deserves to earn good money, but like you see some of the work that gets put out there, and it's definitely not up to my standard. Yeah. But and I think there's I don't know, I was always brought up like you've got to earn, like you said, you've got to earn your stripes. Like you get to this level and you do so long at that, and then you get to that level, and then you get to that level. But like I know myself, like we put some incredible young guys through their time, and like I know they've got incredible potential to be great carpenters or possibly great builders. But like as soon as they finish their apprenticeship, they're just like, I'm out of here. I'm going to get the big bucks. Like I don't need to learn off you for another year or two. Like I'm going to get paid more money.
And you're a big advocate for it as well, with knowing your numbers. Like these guys are buying these trucks and trailers and things with money that's not theirs. It just is in the account. So that's what you find a lot is, they're quick to spend it as soon as it comes in. There's no backup. It's you. You're the last, it's your money's got to go back if you owe people money. So
and look, I don't know about you, but like I've definitely been there. Like I used to spend more money than what I was making, and I guess the thing is what you learn from it. Like you got to learn from your mistakes. But I also see a lot of young guys out there that are just getting themselves into debt and then getting anxiety and getting depressed, and like they just end up in this roller coaster that it can be hard to break if you're not hanging around the right people, or you're not.
For sure.
I don't know, getting some sort of mentoring, or like there's a lot of keeping up with the Joneses, I think, in our industry.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's all looks, social status. It's, I've got a Land Cruiser, I'm doing well. Which it's not always the case.
Yeah, so Matt, you've managed to go really well. Like it was, I think, like one reason I've been really excited to catch up with you today. Like it's been a hectic year this year. Like I said at the beginning, you're one of the members of the Builders Breakfast group that we have, and like this year's everyone's been hectic, so there's been very hard to catch up with people, and
the whole crew too.
Yeah, the whole crew. But I was really like, I loved it. Like you jumped in very early. Like you'd only just started your business, and I think when you first reached out, like you just wanted to come because you wanted to be around other builders and gain knowledge and things. And I think that's just such an important thing for anyone that's starting out in a business, to hang around people that have been in the trenches and done the hard yards, because if we can all help each other out, and you can avoid some of the mistakes that other people have made, like it just benefits everybody.
Yeah. And like even the first 1 to 2 meetings I went to, I didn't say boo peep. I was there to take it in, to take, the lessons from everyone.
Yeah.
Like you guys have been in the industry. A lot of you have had your business nearly as long as I've been alive.
not me.
Not you, yeah.
I'm not that old, but
but like
there's a couple of old ones.
Like, like Seb Toscano and stuff, third generation, like the experience and knowledge that they've had passed down is not really something I had. Like I could have gone back to Bundaberg and, taken over that company, and my stepdad's been a builder for 30 years, but I wanted to create my own path. So, and I do totally different stuff to what he does. He does a lot of sort of budget transportable homes and things like that, steel frame. So we're vastly different. So I needed to find a group of, I guess, role models or people that have walked the path before me to get this knowledge from. I had to sort of find it.
Do you think that's really helped you excel quicker than if you weren't talking to other builders and asking questions here and there? Like, because I know a lot of people in our industry, it's like they're afraid to give away their trade secrets, and they're like, younger guys can try and ask for advice, but they won't always get the right advice, cryptic. Or someone will take the piss out of them or something like. But I just think it's so important for our industry to talk and communicate and share industry knowledge and experience and all those types of things. Yeah,
well, there's a lot of stats even coming out of America that, I can't remember the guy that does a podcast, but literally saying for every 40 people that retire, only 7 come in.
Yeah.
Where's that knowledge going to pass over if the young guys are getting, like, if you're taking the piss and they're just going, oh, well, I don't want to ask because I'll just sit here and listen and try and make it up myself. And but it's a tough one, but I think it's making a safe space for them, I guess, to ask questions.
So what's some of the challenges you faced in your, like, getting your business up and running? And
our biggest challenge up until recently was the team. So staffing to allow me to work on the business and actually pull back some time. So I'm not doing 80-hour weeks and Candice, my partner's getting the shits with me and all that sort of thing. Like, team was the biggest thing for us.
Because you're like, I don't know if we've mentioned yet, but you're also a bit of a catwalk model. So, mate, come on, like, you don't tell me you got no time. You're fitting in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, look, I fit that in, but then there's the weekend that you got to work to cover that. But I dabble in a few different bits and pieces.
Mate, you're definitely having a crack, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about. We're only here for a short time, so. I guess, like I said earlier, I think building is probably one of the most extreme professions that is around, like with the stress, finances, the amount of hours you're trying to work, your staff, like all these sort of things.
It's a lot of moving parts, isn't
it? Together, this is a lot harder for me than being a sports person was. And, I was one that was getting some major injuries and really having to fight back to get back every time. This is still harder.
Yeah.
And that is the reality. And like, you don't want to put a dampener on it for young guys, but if they don't know what they're coming into, it can, like, professional sport and building, like construction, they have 2 really high suicide rates. And I think that is because of the knowledge when they come in. They don't know how hard it's going to be.
Yeah. A lot of people that come into the industry come into it because they think that it's not as hard as what it really is.
Yeah.
And then it hits them and they have to take a few steps back.
Yeah. Well, I was the same. And I knew from my stepdad and from sort of talking to people, I knew how hard it was, and it still was harder than I thought, particularly through, with COVID. No one had dealt with that before, so it was a whole nother element. But it was really, really hard. And, I had plenty of meltdowns, plenty of breakdowns. Even last year, we sort of had a job that finished up, and I starting to question the reward versus, or, gratitude from the client even for what we'd done. And And I was like, really weighing up whether the reward was worth what we were doing and how hard we were working. So I think it's a battle all the time. You don't just get to a point where you're like, oh, this is just so easy now.
You do. You can.
Yeah.
100%. Like that's why I'm doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, you do have to put in the hard yards and do the work, but it definitely gets to that point. And mate, with your commitment and your ambition, like you're definitely going to get to that point. It's there's so many moving parts to what a builder is, or even what a tradie is, and I feel like people have this very set perception of what tradies and builders are.
Yeah.
And like something I'm definitely, again, part of this podcast and everything I'm doing is to lift the reputation of builders and really help people understand what a builder really is and what a builder really does.
Yeah.
Because I think when we can do that, it'll help the whole industry, but it'll also help builders earn what they deserve to earn.
Yeah, for sure.
And like you said before, like I'd bang on about it all the time. Like it's all about the data. It's all about the numbers. And I spent a long time on that roller coaster ride, exactly like you just said, like questioning it. Like you'd have 1, 2, 3 jobs that'd be like, yes, like this is fantastic, killing it. And then you'd have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 that would just suck up everything you've just made. And all of a sudden you're down the dumps again and think the world's against you and the industry's shit and all this type of stuff. But our industry is so difficult because nobody understands it. And like, there's so many layers to it. And like one of the things we really do, like it took me years and years to get my head around it, and we do it all the time now with the guys that come in to Live Like Build. Like the first thing we focus on is getting them to understand their overheads and what it's taking to run their business. Yeah. And like we have had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of builders go through that now, and I can honestly count on one hand how many builders are even close to covering their overheads. Like most of them putting on their jobs in total for overheads and profit less or the same as what it's actually taking them to run their business. Yeah. And like it's like a light bulb. Like as soon as they get it and understand it, it's like, holy shit. Like that is why there's nothing in my bank account. It's why I got no cash flow. It's why I'm stressed all the time. It's why I feel shit about the industry. Yeah. But a big reason for that is we're competing, like builders are in this, unless you sort of put yourself out there and you build a very good reputation and around your quality and what you deliver and all those types of things, you end up in this big bucket of builders that is just competing on price. And like I got caught in it for ages, and you literally sit at a meeting and lower your price in your head, still thinking that you're making money, but you've actually just yourself into it. Yeah, you've just literally lowered your price, and you are going to do that job for nothing. Yeah, and you've already spent 100 hours or so getting that price. So why are you now undermining all that time that you've just worked on it and going, oh, in 5 minutes I'm just going to, I'll drop that. That's no worries. Can we sign? We good? Yeah. Desperation, I guess, sometimes. It's hard. Like it all ties together. Like you've got to keep your team working. You've got to keep the cash flow coming in. Another thing that I think is really underestimated in our industry is how much, like now that we track it all and we do our pack process and stuff, like I believe I spend 3 more, or we know from our data, like I spend 3 times more time on a project during from inquiry to signing a building contract than I do once a job starts. Yeah, right. Like once a job starts, we got an incredible supervisor, an incredible team on site. Like I still go to site, visit, check on teams, help out with ordering and those types of things. But it's really underestimated how much time a builder has to spend prior to even getting a job. Well, that's what we sell, because we don't do anything for free. We don't tender. That's our sales pitch, that's where the actual work is. Yeah. This is the physical work, but the work to actually get you there is in the first part. Man, I'm so pleased to hear that you're doing well, yeah, we call it the pack process, but
Yeah.
you're doing some sort of pre-construction process. Like that's just, to me, that's an absolute game changer. Like, and it does so many things. It sets you up as a professional. It builds trust with your clients.
Yeah.
And like the number one thing is you get to build a relationship with the client before you've gone and signed the contract.
And then you feel valued yourself, and it doesn't just go, I'll get to it tomorrow or whatever. You're like, no, actually, I'm being paid to do this right now. I'm going to do this right now. I'm not going to do it later or while I'm half asleep and tired. And that's the biggest thing I found was when you start feeling valued and they've paid for your service, it comes to the forefront. It's like, all right, no, this is what I got to do. They're putting trust in me to get this to a process so we can start.
Yeah.
And not just throw a number at them and go, oh, you want to do it or not? A lot of people do. Like I'm still hearing stories. Like we're doing a pre-con process right now. I actually signed up to your pack process when you first brought it out.
Yeah.
So we went through that as well just to see and compare. And I pulled a few things from that as well. Like I generally pull a bit from everywhere. And
it's the best way, mate. And look, I don't know how you do yours, but like I definitely find because our pack process is an actual, like you can actually say to the client, like we've got to go from here to here before we can sign a contract. Like when you can actually demonstrate to a client how much work is actually involved. Most clients are like, no worries, we'll pay for that. Like that's a lot of work.
Yeah. And you're getting architects on board now as well to actually get you so early in the piece as well. We're still fighting that battle a little bit where like the professionals have already come through and done all their engineering and all sorts of things, and we weren't involved in that, so we're kind of taking it a bit later in the piece, but which
is hard because then you're still trying to claw things back, or because like honestly, how often do you get a set of drawings or something presented to you and then they tell you their budget and you're like, oh yeah, sweet, we can do that? Never.
Like, we've had a couple this year alone where they've gone, another builder told me it's going to be about this much. They did a bit of a prelim for me. It was a 1-pager, and I was just like, no way. Like you either up your budget or we pull some stuff out. And some of them have redesigned, and there was one that I said, no, you won't get it. This was probably 18 months ago. And no, we will. Architect and client were both, no, we're pretty sure it's good. It's good. I said, all right, well, give it here. Priced it all up, and it was $700,000 over budget.
Over budget. That's a big one.
Like I told you, it's, you've just wasted your money.
Yeah.
And then they've had to go through this full redesign process over 18 months, and they're nearly ready now for it to be looked at again.
It just makes it so hard, doesn't it, for everybody?
Yeah.
Like everybody's wasting their time.
Yep.
And time is money.
Definitely.
Like the earlier that a builder can get involved, like I believe trades, like there's a lot of trades out there that should be doing it as well. Especially ones like cabinet makers, sparkies and things that do up electrical drawings or have to do shop drawings. Like, because you quite often see a lot of suppliers that'll charge a fee to develop their shop drawings, or especially once you get into the more higher end work with a lot of the detail and stuff.
Yeah, definitely, and there's a lot of back and forth, so it's a lot of time there again before they can even order all their stuff and get cracking on it.
Yeah, like for me, someone that charges a fee, and look, this is definitely a big mindset change. Like I never used to be like this, but for me, a supplier or a contractor that values themselves enough to charge, and it might only be $100, but that values themselves enough to go, hang on a minute, my time's valuable. If you want me to come and meet you on site or do a site inspection or provide you some sort of pricing, it's going to cost you.
Yeah, I'm all for that too. If they're like, we do have a part of our process is we bring our trades out and they have a look around and make sure that we usually try and get them to price it up, and then we go out and we're like, all right, well now make sure and adjust, and then we're good to go. We send everything out through Buildertrend with photos. Like I've already been there once or twice, but same thing. If they said, oh, it's $100, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Yeah, I'd be like, if I know you're going to put this to the front and nail it, $100, no worries. Yeah. So if they start going, oh, it's going to be $2,000, I'll be like, wait a minute.
But it's just getting
one aspect. Yeah,
it's getting that little bit of commitment from everybody, isn't it? And the other thing there's so many benefits to charging a fee, but for me, it's commitment. Like if your Sparky's going to charge you a couple $100 to help you out with go and meet with the clients and figure out electrical and put a drawing together, like that's awesome value. Like yes, that couple $100 isn't probably covering the time they're going to spend on it.
Yeah.
But at least everybody knows that client's getting educated on what they want's going to cost. And there's a lot better chance that job's actually going to move forward. So you're actually going to get the work in the long run, which is where you're going to make up your money.
Definitely. And I find out even our fee, it doesn't cover all the time that it takes, but it's about skin in the game. It's about, all right, we're a team here. You're going to put some in. I'm going to give you more time than you're actually paying for, and we're going to proceed together, and we're going to get this happening.
Yeah.
Because our job really is to get that plan set to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
100%.
essentially our job. The building.
So,
yeah.
Have you got any coaching mentoring to get to where you are, or?
No, I did join very early in the piece, the Association of Professional Builders. I did that. This was like back in 2017 when I started. And I stayed with that and sort of chipped away at it while working on the tools and trying to do everything myself like we've all done. And I sort of got a lot of processes in place, and then just talking to a couple of other builders that I know as well, we sort of swapped a few things here and there, and but no proper mentoring, no sort of one-on-one mentoring, anything. I've literally pulled pieces from everywhere and asked questions, and just tried to get as much together as I can and made my own sort of way through.
But that's super important. Like, there's a lot of people out there that don't even do that. Like, I'm a massive fan of like asking questions. Like, no question's a silly question. Like, and it's something I haven't always, like at school I was the one that was afraid to put my hand up because I didn't want to look stupid, where I've learnt the hard way, like put your hand up, ask a question, even if it's a stupid question, like you're never going to know unless you ask the question. Yeah,
well, I was the same as well. I was a little shy kid. I'd never ask anyone any questions, just put my head down and got it done. And so I sort of brought that into adulthood, even, through my sporting career. I never asked a question. I just went, I'll figure it out. I'm not going to ask anything. I don't want to look stupid and, have all the boys give me shit for the rest of the session or whatever. And it's only been sort of a more recent thing where I've gone, like when I started my own business, even probably 2 years after is when I really started going, I've got to ask and find out all this information, because unless I can drum up the money to get someone one-on-one, I've got to get it myself.
Knowledge is power, eh?
Yeah, and then that's the whole walk before you can run thing, like I have to pull those bits and create my own thing before I get the money to then pay someone to make it better, or sort of proceed with that.
So you mentioned before that until recently your team had been a bit of a struggle. Like, what's been the change in the team to everything's clicking now? So
our biggest thing is human before skill set. So it's really dependent on how you are as a person. Skills we can train. We're not too worried about that. Obviously, if we're hiring you in a highly skilled job like a lead carpenter or something, you do need to have the skills. But I think we just change our own mindset to, all right, let's find humans we like, and because we hang out with them for so many hours of the day, let's find those humans that fit with what we believe in, and then we'll move from there. And we're just slowly just like, all right, we pluck one here and pluck one there. And, we did start with a young apprentice who got Apprentice of the Year as well. He has been with us from pretty well day one from renovations.
He loves you. He was on here a few weeks ago, as you know, and he, mate, I take my hat off to you, because you've obviously done very well with him. Like, he respects you so much.
Yeah, he's a good kid, and he finishes his trade next week. So we have 2 finishing. So, I think just finding people that believe in similar things, and that just fit sort of out. It's just a culture thing. It's which we've had to sort of get rid of a few people that didn't really fit there, and it's been difficult because we've held on to people that probably didn't fit, but they were good at their job. So we went, we need them because staff are hard to come by, and we just need to get these jobs done. But the minute we change our mindset and went, all right, as a human, it doesn't work. It's making these people feel like this. And, you make that change, and all of a sudden, bang, everyone steps up. And then you all of a sudden find these people who are a better fit that just come out of the woodwork. Which is kind of what happened to us over a 12-month period. Pulled together this team from a few different places, and all of a sudden we have a cohesive working team.
That's awesome. Team is one of the hardest things of running a business, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And like you said, it's like I bang on about all the time. Like I just think, again, it's something that's very misunderstood. Like you can have a company that's got 300 staff, but they're all sitting in an office in their own little cubicles, might have a little chat at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Like,
nothing in common.
Trades are leaning over each other, smelling each other, sweating on each other, like physically helping each other.
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to be someone that can sort of get on with people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, we sort of have really nailed that now, where we have 2 teams that can connect as well. Like we sort of keep our leads on their jobs, and then the other apprentices and other trades swap a little bit and sort of move it around, and not a single drama with any of it. So
it's awesome.
We're very lucky. We're lucky.
It's not luck, mate. You've created it.
Yeah. But they just happened to be available when we needed them. We manifested that. We sort of brought that to fruition, I think.
You're big on that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I'm huge on this too. I believe it's you get back exactly what you put out.
Yeah. So my fiance is actually probably the next level up from me. Again, she's very, very into it. And she sort of talked me into it a little bit. I was very stubborn, and, I was willing to try, but I was like, in my own time, I'm not ready yet. And, I sort of fluffed around with it for a long time. And then, I sort of got into it, and, we started reading all the Joe Dispenza books, and, just getting into manifestation. And I sort of, like, I've had therapy and all sorts of stuff too, just because, other traumas and things that happen in life, and just realizing that, that negative mindset that you're in, and sort of you bring that energy with you everywhere. You're starting to bring more of that. And I think the biggest change for me was to start to, see what I want and see what the future looks like, and that I don't want it to be negative, and I don't want sort of bad energy around me, which is, I'm sort of stepping up and up and up and getting further deeper into it. And we do our meditations now and everything as well. And we're sort of just, I think we're only really just sort of breaking into it. There's a lot more we can go with that, all that sort of things. But definitely,
like mindset, positivity, like all that stuff is massive, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I even found, like, through my sporting career, like every time I'd get an injury, they were large injuries that, like, it was fair to be negative about it, but it would go for months because I was out. Like at one point I was out for 9 months. I just was negative for 9 months till I could get back in, and then I was good to go.
But do you believe it took longer to recover because
100%,
you were putting all these negative vibes out?
100%, yeah. And that could be said for my whole career. Anytime something sort of happened, I was super negative. Like I was one of those guys that, we would lose on a Sunday arvo, and I wouldn't get over it until I ran on the field next week. Like I'd carry it all week, and I'd just have a shit week all week. And so it slowly sort of just realized that I was the problem.
That's huge, mate.
Yeah.
That is a massive acknowledgement.
Yeah. The day I realised I was the problem, I was retiring as well. So it didn't really work. But that's worked into this side, just bringing that positivity and trying to, when I go to site with the boys, I'm bringing a positive energy. I'm not bringing negative vibes of like, oh, this is hard. Like, oh, Monday. Oh, so then they all start going, oh yeah, right. Yeah, it's Monday. It is shit. So
it's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I'm so on the same page. I think it's fantastic. Like, and it excites me that it's really changing, because even like I got family members, like I was brought up that if you talked around this shit, you're a hippie or you're a woo woo, or
my family's still like that, mate.
Like I still got a lot of family members that are like it, but and look, I don't know at what point I started sort of disagreeing. Like it's oh man, again, there's a whole other can of worms here. Like you almost get to a point where you've got to be prepared to lose some mates and friends, and pick and choose when and how much time you spend with family and all that sort of shit. Yeah, because
they say you've changed.
Yeah, you've changed. You're a different person. Yeah. They don't think it's for the better. Yeah, they think you've turned to this person that's different and better. Than, like, just I don't know. I've heard it all.
It's the same. Like you at some point you go, I need to work out. I need to eat better, and you sort of go into like a bit of a gym phase or a workout phase, and people go, you've changed. You're addicted. But your life has actually improved. you're not addicted. You've just made a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
I find it's the same thing with, there's plenty of people that I don't really talk to at all anymore that used to be like really great mates. It's just, go in a different direction. So.
Yeah. Because they're stuck in there. Like, it blows my mind when I think, like I'm the same, I've got some mates that I haven't spoken to for years. And up until that point in my life, like you were talking almost daily.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a point where you're like, I got no interest in what's happened on the news or that you broke up with your second girlfriend for the week, or you couldn't, like, whatever it is. But like, negativity just, it holds everything back. And even like, I think because I'm so focused on that now and being positive, like to me, mate, every day that my eyes open is the best day ever.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what I've got to do for that day, how hard that day is going to be. Reality is I'm alive, and I get to make the decisions on how my life pans out. So, and I think back to like even my teenage years and my first jobs and starting my business and then having all those years of struggles, and every single thing that went wrong and happened to me was all because of what I was telling myself, the energy I was putting out there, the people I was hanging around, because I was taking on, like, a lot of the time when you're so caught up in it, it's not only you that's giving out all this negative energy, but you're absorbing it from all the people you're hanging around. Yeah. And
it's funny, the deeper you get into it, energy, you can almost feel a bad energy get into the room. You kind of go, oh. Yeah. Like, I'm not really, who is it? Who's brought this? Because they're out, they're gone. So, and I do that to a point where I almost, my partner would agree if I said alienate myself to, like, if I don't get a great vibe from someone, they're like, they're done. Like, no, you're over there. I'm out of here. I'm doing my own thing. Yeah.
But it's powerful stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And you get to I get to the point where I would rather be off doing my own thing solo than hanging out with bad energy and feeling tense and feeling, anxious about the whole thing.
100%. 100%. I'm just trying to think of the name of it. I had to go. I did my back. I was at the farm doing some work the other weekend, and like I've always had a bad back, but like I've managed to look after it really well for years now. Yeah. Because I am looking after myself a lot better, but there's been a few things going on in life and business, and I've been butting heads with a couple of people. And I was working up on the farm, and like I literally got out of the excavator and went to move a stick that had got stuck in the tracks, and my back went like the worst ever. And like I literally stopped what I was doing. Like, it was late in the day anyway, it was like 6:45 or something. Went over to camp, and I almost had tears in my eyes, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to, like, I'm in the middle of nowhere, I'm like, I'm gonna have to ring someone, and like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to drive all the way back to Brisbane tomorrow. Like, anyway, I got home, didn't feel too bad, drove home, didn't really sleep that night, and then rang this lady that I go, like, I've been to her on and off for years. Like, she does a bit of massage and all this type of stuff, and we've always got on pretty well. And she's like, oh, you've been going all right, like, you actually haven't been here for nearly 2.5 years. And it's like, well, I've been doing what you tell me to do. Anyway, she gave me the massage, and we started having this conversation. Like, my wife goes there, my 2 girls go and see her as well. Like, but she's into a lot of different alternative type
like
stuff.
Reiki and things like that.
Yeah. And I'm trying so hard to think of the name of it. It was Best. Do you remember what it was, Shay? It was like bioenergetic systemization technique or something like that.
Right. So it's a short name.
But it was all about energy. So like she's almost finished my massage, and I'm like, man, my back isn't getting any better. And she started, like, she was putting one hand on my back, one hand on my stomach, and she's like, have you been feeling all right? Like, your stomach's really moving around. I was like, yeah, no, I feel all right. And she's like, you've got a lot of... And she started basically telling me what was happening in my life, and told me, like, your back's done this because this bad energy is built up so much
storing it,
that this had to happen to you, otherwise you're not going to figure out what this is. And it was unbelievable, mate. And like, amazing, she went on to tell me stuff about like things that are going on in business that I am trying to work through. One of our daughters is having a bit of trouble at school, like gave me advice on what she can do. Like, and she knew nothing, like we hadn't talked about this.
Yeah.
And so I'm open to all that sort of stuff now. And I actually, like, the whole way home from that, I come home, had a conversation with my wife, Camille, and like just for 48 hours, like I just could not stop thinking about what she'd been telling me. And what do we got here? Shay's just found us for us. So bioenergetic synchronization technique is a mind and body structure healing chiropractic adjustment utilizing zero force, and instead uses electromagnetic treatment that helps balance your mind, body and soul.
Wow.
But yeah, she was telling me how our body stores energy, and you, like, every time we have a negative situation or a confrontation or something that upsets us, it could be anything, our body holds that.
Yeah.
And
if you don't release it, becomes disease. So
yeah. And so she actually, after, like, before we ended that session, she actually went back and told me a period in my life that I have to do some homework on,
right, and
figure out what it was that was disturbing me. And she's told me, like, if I can figure that out, so I'm going to go and see, like, Justin in a breath. I've been doing a few sessions with him, and some of the shit that's come out while I've been doing the breath work with him has been amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go and see him and work on this, because she's told me that if I can release this one thing that she believes is, like, giving me a lot of tension in my shoulders and my hip, I'll just skyrocket. She said it's really holding me back. So I just got all the time in the world for that sort of stuff now.
Definitely.
And like I said, years ago, mate, anyone that had talked to me about that stuff, I would have gone, you're a fucking idiot.
Like, crazy.
What are you on? What did you smoke before you come here? Like, but it works.
For sure, yeah.
And like that week after that, like, I come home, had that conversation with Camille, like, thought about it hard for like 48 hours. Like, that entire week, mate, I just felt like I was floating.
Yeah.
I was like, this is unreal. Like, I felt like I had clarity. I felt like I had direction.
Definitely.
So yeah, what, like you mentioned, you've had some sort of therapy. What?
Oh no, I've actually just seen a therapist, but I've also, we've done a lot of breath work as well. Like, there's a few places that do like a DMT breath work where you get your pineal gland going and sort of go on a bit of a natural trip, I guess.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of breath work. We generally.
That sounds all right. Where do we do that?
There's a guy that does it called Dr. Espen, actually. We did a little weekend, like a 3-day thing with him, and they finished with this 1.5-hour DMT breathwork session.
Yeah.
Actually, Justin will know a little bit about it. Justin's aware of Dr. Espen, and Joe Dispenza does a similar one as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty loose. Like, some of the stories you hear after it, like, I haven't had an experience like some of these people. Some of these people come up with the wildest things, and you're just like, did you actually take something, or was this just purely breath work? Because that's a loose story.
Yeah.
But yeah, we find after we've done breath work and, a bit of meditation and stuff, like, a million times better. Even my anxiety and stresses for the week lower. Like, as a builder, you operate at a fairly high stress level anyway, just because of the moving parts. But mate, we do that, and like, just my base level for the week is, I'm already
a lot more grounded.
Better,
yeah. It's amazing stuff. I'm definitely a huge fan of it, and again, hopefully by talking about it on this podcast, it gets more people dropping their ego and having a crack at different things. I've done a lot of the group sessions with Justin and some other people now. I've done a few one-on-ones. I've had some I've got rid of some really good stuff with Justin, but we went down. Myself and four mates went down and did that Johannes's breathless expeditions weekend down in the snowy mountains.
Right.
It was an unbelievable weekend. Like, recommend it to anyone. I really want to go back next year. He does a men's one.
Yeah.
This one was a mixed group.
Yeah, okay.
And so he uses ice baths, saunas, breath work.
Yeah.
But the ice baths turned into like, we sat in a -3 degrees frozen creek for, I think we made it to 9 minutes. So he teaches you to use your breath to control your body. And it was amazing. But the mates that come with me, so we've created a little bit of a group that every year we try and do something that's a bit out of our comfort zone. And the other guys know that I've got into doing a bit of this stuff and just give me shit about it all the time. And one of them sent me a message saying, hey, I've booked this. This is what we're doing this year.
Yeah.
And I basically had a quick look at it, like sent him a message straight back saying, I've just booked it. Awesome. Like, and he was joking.
Yeah.
He was like, oh,
shit. Taking the piss,
I was just taking the piss. And I was like, no, we're doing it now.
Let me guess, he had the most benefit?
Mate, so two of them, they were the biggest skeptics and guys that you would never think that you would talk into it.
Yeah.
And they had the most incredible experiences and left that weekend like just on a new level. Definitely, and these are two guys that have done incredibly well in business, in life, in family, and like you would think that they are on cloud 9, but they released a lot of shit and left that weekend telling the group what they were going to do and what they're going to work on, and like the whole room just like was tearing, man. It was unreal.
Can only imagine if they were open to it going into it, how much better it would have been. Yeah.
Well, one of them's gone back and done a bit more, and he's into it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So I think it's something that everybody should have a crack at. And like, so one thing that we do that's very different with Live Life Build, and like I tell people now, like we're not, if you want the Lamborghinis, the mansions, all the la-di-da, like we're not the community for you.
Yeah.
It's not that like we'll make you profitable. We've got all the systems, processes, templates, documents, everything to do that. But for us, success is all about like freedom and having a well-oiled machine, but like mindset and spending time with family and like earning money so that you can actually go away for 4 or 5 or 6 weeks a year and your phone doesn't ring because your business runs really well. But and so we really focus, like we've got a mindset expert now, we've got a leadership expert, mental health and well-being, because from my experience and the hundreds of builders we've had now, we've realised like we could give you a full instruction manual, like thousands of pages, every system, every process, everything that you need to run an incredible building business. That might get you running a great business for 3 months, 6 months, a year. But if you're not right mentally and physically and work on your personal, you're just going to go back on that roller coaster.
100%, yeah. Yeah, it's a full approach.
Yeah.
There's no point driving around a Lamborghini at 180 kilos, eating Maccas and going, oh, I've done it. I did it.
Yeah.
On your own. No one, So it's...
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, mate. I didn't realise you're into it. I knew, like you put in your notes, you're into the manifestation stuff, but it's good. So how regularly do you do a bit of breath work? Like, do you just take time every now and then to like one thing I do, if I pull up to a meeting that I'm a little bit nervous about, like I'll just take 2 minutes and just sit in the truck and just
breathe.
Take a few,
And I've got a few breathwork playlists that I just throw on and go through the process. They're generally 8 to 15 minutes. And then, here and there, like I'd like to be better at it. Here and there, I every morning I wake up and I'll do a meditation. It's more, I'm reminded by my partner Candice to do it, which is what I go, oh yeah, shit, you're right. That's right. I got to do it. Otherwise I just get caught up and go, oh, I'm straight into it. I'm going.
Yeah.
But even I go, yep, you're right. And I do it. And it sort of gets you just grounded and ready to go.
Yeah.
Ideally sunlight first up in the morning is a good start as well.
It's unbelievable, eh? Like I get so much from just getting outside, or like I said, waking up in the morning, being grateful that you're alive and just seeing the sun come up. Like it's the best time of the day. But so what do you do to, like, you're obviously still staying pretty fit.
Yep.
What
occasionally. This is just a product of 10 to 15 years of training. I sort of don't really train a whole lot anymore. I probably would like to train more than I do. I just, I sort of get caught up, and I'm one of those people that puts everyone else first, and then I go, all right, what have I got time for myself? Which this year I've actually sort of turned that on its head a little bit and started pushing myself first. So like, I'll do this first, and then we can move on to sorting everyone else out. And I've found that's been a massive change.
Do you feel that you can help more people because you're looking after yourself first?
Yeah, well, I'm not so tight. Like before that, I was going, I'll go to the gym tonight, and I would work till 10 o'clock at night and then go, oh, well, it's too late. I've got to go to bed. Wake up tired, grumpy. Then I'm bringing that energy that I don't believe on anyone bringing. And, so it took a little while, and I was kind of like, nah, not a fan. So I've sort of flipped it all and changed a lot around. And, I really only got off the tools properly, and I still do a few days a week. And like, I just took on not just, but a couple of months ago, I took on a job I shouldn't have. It's going to put me under pressure up into Christmas. But I learn from those mistakes every year.
Why shouldn't you take it on? Too busy or not?
We're too busy. We just didn't I'm essentially doing that project on my own while my staff are at the other jobs, while trying to run everything else. And, which is just, it wasn't a smart idea, but I know the client, they needed it done. They were selling a house and had to be out, and it's going to be a great project, but it's just a lot more hours and stress that I didn't need. Like we were functioning nicely moving into Christmas, and so let's make it really difficult.
You let someone else's priority become yours.
Yeah, exactly. So once again, it's another lesson where I go, well, I won't do that again. So that's all I take out of that. I go, yeah, it's going to be really hard right now, but we're going to get it done, and we'll move from there.
So what are you doing to put yourself first? Like, are you like scheduling time in for yourself? You go to the gym?
I've been trying to schedule the mornings for myself, so I can do a bit of breath work, meditation, gym, walk the dog. Like a lot of people don't back onto the, successful in a Lamborghini. Like a lot of people don't realise, but I walk the dog in my work boots. Like they're a fixture. They I got dressed up for you guys today, but generally I'm in my work boots all until I shower. The gym's the only time I don't wear them because I'm not allowed to. But yeah, I just train. I think keep healthy, and for me, it's a mental release to go to the gym. I'm not into how much I can lift or do this or do that. It's about going through the process and just, I'm doing something I scheduled for myself and moving through it. But yeah, it's not like I'm an experienced sort of guy as well. Like I don't buy things. We go on experiences. We go and experience things and have a weekend out in nature and things like that. Like that's sort of more our vibe.
Yeah.
Like I say to the boys all the time, I'll never be in a Lamborghini while you guys struggle, because we'll protect everyone sort of thing. So,
yeah. That's awesome, mate. Like your team, you're building in, just from what you're talking about, like you're building an incredible culture.
Yeah.
And vibe. Like I think it's really important, isn't it, that your team see you, like if you want to be a leader, like you've got to lead from the front. So if put yourself out there, try new things. Like I don't push anything on my team.
Yeah.
But I give my team opportunity.
Yeah.
Like if they want to come to breathwork, if they want me to organise a session, or if they want to grow in one way or another, like it's always out there. It's their choice if they want to do it or not. But
and we're the same. Even like we get a few companies that sort of reach out to push their product and take some footage on sites and stuff like that. And so my fiance Candice, she's an actor. That's her main sort of dream goal, and she's pretty successful in it. She's a director now as well. And so like we're used to being around cameras. We're used to doing all that sort of stuff. And
you're on the catwalk, mate.
Yeah. I'm actually on TV with Jonathan Thurston at the moment too.
Hey, what's that for?
Get Ready Queensland. It's like getting ready for storm season.
I
did it over a year ago, and it's just rolled over again. So
we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. So I'm actually as a tradesman, so I'm in a high vis. It's a pretty easy one. But yeah, we sort of give our guys the option. Do you want to be on camera? Do you not? Like, if you are on camera, this is what you get. Like, because we did a thing with Jet Pilot and they gave everyone bulk gear for being a part of it and helping them get footage. But it's still an option. Like, they don't have to do it.
Yeah.
It's just that we're comfortable in front of cameras, so give the option. And young Cam, he's on a billboard or posters or somewhere for a workwear store all around Australia because they liked one of the photos of him.
And you never told us that.
Yeah. So he's been circulating more than bloody I have. He didn't even try. He was just smiling, working away, and they loved it.
Unreal.
So, we're the same. We're just trying to give opportunity for everyone to do what we do, or what we've seen benefit from. We think they could benefit, but if they're not into it, they're not into it, or they're not ready. At one point they'll be ready.
There's a lot of value in thinking outside the box, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you never know. Like, that's a perfect example. Like, you never ever know where something's going to lead, who's going to see it.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty cool
The modelling gig I just fell into. I was literally, my partner's friend was launching her own dog harnesses and collars and things like that, and they needed a male. So they had 3 females, and they needed a male model. I'd never done a thing in my life before, and I was just taking Candice there, and they were like, we need a male. Like, can you do it? I think it was the night before they said, can he do it? And I was like, oh, I'll give it a crack. And then apparently the photographer was like, he was a pretty big deal. And then I've actually worked with him several times now. So it kind of just flowed on from there.
Well, mate, you're a pretty smart looking bloke. So, like, you're going to get plenty
apart from a few broken noses, I was all right till I broke it a few times. My own player broke my nose. So,
So, mate, where to from here? Like, what's the plans for Frameology? Like, so you mentioned before that last year you were sort of considering, like, is it all worth it? Like, is it worth it?
I think so. I think, with the roller coasters of construction, you sort of, you feel things at certain times where you do need to take a step back and, ground yourself and go, was I just in a high stress environment then? And that's why I come up with that, which evidently I was very stressed. We were sort of, finishing one. We had one that we had ready to go and it pulled out on us. So then, we were sort of looking down the barrel of struggling cash flow and things like that. We ended up signing another one. It was all good. Like, it wasn't a big deal. But I was just operating at like 2 months of high stress. And then, we pretty well got rid of a few guys from that team. And then that's when we brought in you. And I think from then, we've sort of started to head upwards and like giving people, like, I had a real control issue in the beginning where I needed to be in full control and I wouldn't sort of let anyone take it. I would like micromanage them into, all right, this is how we got to do this. This is, are you right? Do you want me to do it? Like,
is this on site? On
site, office, whatever it was. I was like, no, I'm doing it. And I've slowly sort of started to release that and go, no, you're ready. You can do it, and encourage. I think since I've started doing that, the pressure is just released enormously. And
what do you think made that? Because this is something that comes up all the time. Like, it's one of the hardest things for business owners, tradies, builders to step back.
The thing that I can pinpoint it to, and for me, this might not be anyone else, but because you come up through the trade and you are doing the work and you are the face, and it almost brings like your value is based on what you can do with your hands and the product you can show at the end of the day and things like that. Whereas I got to a point where I was like, my product is not actually that house. My product is that team plus that made that. So it was, for me, it was like, I just had to go, well, you can't put the nail belt on and work all day. And then when the client comes, go, oh, see, look, I got my hammer. Like, I'm chipping away at it. So for me, it was,
well, that's another thing.
That.
That's another thing, isn't it? Like, a lot of builders think that the client expects to see them on site, swinging the hammer, throwing the frames up. You're never ever going to have a truly successful building business doing that.
I was caught in that mindset. Like, even June, we did a modular home at 1770, and mind you, we had to be. We were only there for a short time. We were there for a month, and we had to just knock this out the park and get it done. And we did. We got it done, but it took everyone. But I was still on the tools up until June, July, And I still occasionally have to jump in and punch things out here and there. And I think that while I was on the tools, I was watching, like I was sort of just learning and watching what all the guys were doing and sort of seeing, like, because we were sort of all split up all over the shop doing different bits and pieces, and I was sort of looking over going, oh, they nailed that, and I wasn't even a part of that part. So I think that's when it clicked for me. I went, oh, I've been stopping them from actually getting better to help me. So that's kind of where we've gone now. We started just, all right, you can handle that, you can handle that.
It's a big trust thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of trust, because obviously there's a lot on the line, your profitability of your business, wasting materials, doing things multiple times. Like, there's a lot to consider. And
we still have control in terms of, like, we run Builder Trend and we require daily logs every day. We require photos every day, like everything still. So if I don't get there that day, I can just go, yep, okay, yep, they've done that. Nice job. But basically releasing all that pressure that I'm putting on myself and giving it to other people has really made a massive difference. And like, I've got a construction manager. I actually grew up with my construction manager now. And he went to America and did a bunch of mansions and all this sort of thing. And he's come back, and I sort of spent 12 to 15 months sort of getting him trained up into a position where he can actually run sites if I'm not there. And like, we're actually nailing it right now to a point where I could go away for a couple of weeks and he would have it covered, as long as we're not operating at too many jobs that he can handle. Like, he's sort of, well, any supervisor should really not have 20 houses. But as long as we're within that constraint, like, I can go away a month, 6 weeks if I wanted to, and he's super capable of running the show.
Yeah. It's an incredible feeling when you know you've got a team like that.
Yeah, definitely. But like I said, a year ago, I was thinking, this might not be the case. And he was working with us at that point. And he was already sort of bringing him through into running things, but I was still just like, I'm just not sure. But that was me trying to control and going, oh, no, I can't. I'm the face. Whereas now I'm like, this logo is the face. I don't need to be the face. I just handle it and get it to a point. And then these guys, I trust that they're going to take it from there. Yeah. As long as I value them, or girls, as long as I value them and they know they're valued, and, and it's not huge things. You don't have to pay them $200,000 a year. Like, it's little things. Have a barbecue. We get them cakes for their birthday and they're just over the moon. They've never had it before. Yeah. Things like that. Like, it doesn't take much for appreciation. Like, for people to feel grateful that they're here.
Respect.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Give people the respect they deserve. It's like, the other hard thing, I think you've just got to realise that if you aren't there all the time, then there is certain things that aren't going to get done as fast as what you would do them. But that's just part of being a business owner. Like, you're always going to bust your balls and do whatever it takes. So the construction manager, Aiden, he's actually more of a hard ass than I am, to be honest. He's like ruthless. So he's probably more ruthless than me. Like, sometimes I just look at him and I go, mate, you serious? Which is great though. Like, it's perfect. But sometimes he pushes the boundaries a little bit, where we kind of go, oh, that's actually not possible to get done. He's like, yeah, it is. We're going to make it happen. Yeah. So it's good. I really like you touched on before, mate, that you're all about experiences, not about things. Like, I think that's especially in this day and age when everyone's connected to social media all the time, like, experiences are, like, making memories is really, really important, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. And I'm a big one on quality time. Like, if you're a mate of mine and we're pretty close, and like, even my partner, it's quality time. We're together, we're doing something, and we're not, we're not, I don't know, just going to a restaurant and dropping $1,000 on food just so that we're seen there or whatever. Like, we're not about that. We'll go out to nature and hide for 3 days with no phone. Yeah. And people go, where you been?
Disconnect to reconnect.
Just take the dog and see you later. So, yeah.
Mate, I absolutely love it. Really appreciate you taking the time out to come and have a chat.
No worries.
Yeah, like I said, I've been looking forward to it because I knew you would have a lot to offer. I think you need to give yourself a massive pat on the back. Like, you're doing very well.
Thanks, mate.
You're definitely a deserving winner of the Rising Star Award. Like, I think you're you're going to be someone in the industry that's definitely going to help pave the path for new ways and younger people to come through. Like I said, your apprentice when he was on, because he won the apprentice of the year. Like, mate, he spoke incredibly highly of you. So really appreciate your time. Keep doing what you're doing. Really appreciate you opening up and talking about all the personal stuff and the breathwork and stuff, because I think everyone, males, females, girls, boys, whatever, it benefits everybody.
For sure,
Drop the ego. Don't worry about what other people think. Like, give stuff a crack. And people like yourself telling your stories will really resonate with people. So really appreciate your time, mate.
Thanks, Dwayne. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, if you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like, subscribe, follow the links, and check us out, and we'll see you on the next one.
Are you ready to build smarter, live better, and enjoy life? Then head over to livelikebuild.com/elevate to get started.
Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Dwayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.